Right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members, officers. Welcome to the second meeting in February. Just for the benefit of members of the public watching or participating in this meeting, I would like to explain who everyone is. My name is Councillor Tony Durrant and I am the chair of this committee. To my right are the councillors who will be making the decisions on the applications on this evening's agenda. To my immediate right and left are the officers who will be presenting applications and providing advice to the committee. The Development Control Committee is a regulatory committee, not a political meeting. The committee will be considering the published papers and examining the evidence brought before us tonight and will make decisions based on planning reasons. We are guided by national and local planning policy and guidance. At an appropriate time, I will invite speakers to contribute to the meeting in the order set out on the update paper. May I ask all speakers, including members, to speak clearly and to keep to points made on the application to material reasons only. No further dialogue between members and committee and speakers will be permitted once questioning is finished. All speakers will be reminded of their permitted speaking time and will be advised when they have 1 minute remaining. May I ask all committee members to avoid repetition and to keep comments on each planning application to a maximum of 4 minutes. We have 2 applications and 1 other item tonight, and hopefully we should be finished before 9 o'clock. I do understand that planning can be emotive and ask that everyone remains polite and professional throughout this meeting. So, item 1, apologies. There are no apologies. No declarations of interest. Councillor Grassi.
Item 2, Mistral Hackwood Lane, Clidston, erection of a detached dwelling, self-build.
Thank you. Any others? No. Okay, there's no urgent matters. There will be no minutes signed tonight. The next minutes will be signed on the 11th of March. So we move to item 5, which is applications for planning permission. As we will start with the officers will introduce each application, and we will start with item 1.
Thank you. Item 1 seeks planning permission for the construction of 4 dwellings and associated access on land at Maxfield to the south of West Bells Meadow, St Marybourne. This application was previously debated at Development Control Committee on the 7th of January, where it was resolved to approve the application subject to the completion of a legal agreement to secure significant on-site biodiversity net gain enhancements. Since then, the application has been modified to make minor amendments to the site location plan, along with minor changes to the alignment of plot 4 and subsequent alterations to the design and layout of that plot. If I could direct members of the committee to the visualiser, the plans illustrate the differences in the location plan and the site layout plans. Overall, the changes result in a reduction in the plot size for plot 4 by approximately 2 metres squared. The single-storey projection on plot 4 has been relocated from the side to the rear of the property. The application remains the same in all other respects as discussed at the meeting on the 7th of January. By way of update, it's clarified that the biodiversity metric has been updated following the changes to the application boundary. It's confirmed that the development would continue to deliver a minimum of the mandatory 10% net gain. Since the publication of the papers, the case officer has also received correspondence from a neighbour, and a summary of that correspondence received is set out in the update paper, and no further representations have been received on the application. And the application is recommended for approval subject to the completion of the legal agreement. Thank you.
Right, thank you. We have no speakers on this item tonight, so we can move to questions from members to the officer. Councillor McCormick.
I think I probably know the answer to this one. The fact that we've got letters coming in questioning why they'd not been notified of the previous committee meeting, revised that due process has been followed in accordance with the council's consultation procedures. Am I right in thinking basically there's not a lot we can do about that?
Any representations that are received on an application receive an acknowledgement letter which sets out how to register to speak for committee, which includes being notified of when a committee is due to take place for a particular application. We've checked the systems and those acknowledgement letters have been sent out, so for all intents and purposes we've carried out the correct notifications.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, I think I mentioned this last time, but I'll say it again. In terms of the landscaping on the boundary with the bowling green, I think that's not fixed at this stage, but when it is considered, the choice of trees should not shade the bowling green to the extent that it harms its grass.
Yes, just to confirm, condition 12 secures further details of the landscaping to be provided.
Any more questions for officers? Okay, thank you. We will move to debate. Councillor Bound, Councillor McCormick.
I was just going to say I'd move the recommendation.
Have your second, Chair.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, we will move to vote then. All those in favour? Unanimous.
Just to confirm, that application is approved subject to the completion of the legal agreement to secure significant on-site biodiversity net gain enhancements, and the conditions are set out in the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to item 2. Okay, Officer.
Thank you. Item 2 seeks planning permission for the erection of a detached self-built dwelling at Mistral, Hackwood Lane, Cliddeston. By way of update, there is a correction to the last sentence in paragraph 10.5 on page 127 of the main agenda, to clarify that where all matters are considered to comply with the requirements of local plan policies, they're afforded neutral weight in the overall planning balance. The update paper also contains a summary of the viewing panel held on Friday the 20th of February. There is no other update, and the application has been requested to come to Development and Control Committee by Councillor Grassi and Councillor Cubitt. The application is recommended for approval subject to the conditions listed in the main agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 2 speakers, Martin Runcie and Alex Shanks. If you'd like to come forward to the 2 chairs in front of you on your right. You will have 4 minutes between you when, and I will give you a reminder with 1 minute to go, and when you press the button on your right to speak, your 4 minutes starts. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and Councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. My name is Alex. That's my wife, Kaylee. We've proudly called Basingstoke and Dean our home for over 8 years, first in Sherfield on Loddon and now Cliddeston. Our family are actively involved in the borough. Our daughter is part of Basingstoke Wolverines Cheer Academy, competing internationally both in Europe and the US, and I volunteer as an energy champion with the Bramley Greener Homes Initiative. Over the years, we've built strong relationships within our community and with our neighbours. This application represents a lifelong dream for us to create a modest, thoughtful and sustainable lifetime home. Working closely with our architect Martin, we've carefully designed a house that sits comfortably within the character of the neighbourhood and complements the surrounding homes. This is more than a building for us, it's our family's future, and we respectfully ask that you support us in allowing us to make our future here within the community we're proud to call home.
Good evening. This application has been brought before you due to early suggestions that the site might be considered unacceptable because of isolation. However, as those of you who attended the viewing panel will have seen, the site is visually and physically connected to the existing cluster of homes to the east of Cliston, forming a logical infill plot within the ribbon of development. The area has also seen small-scale residential development, particularly at Greenfields Nursery to the north, which has received consent for 6 dwellings through both local planning authority and an appeal process. On review, the case officer now supports the principle of development in this area, applying the tilted balance approach, and we are pleased to have received a recommendation for approval. Mr. and Mrs. Shanks hope to build a self-build home, designed as a contemporary chalet-style bungalow in the garden of their property. The land is considered previously developed, and therefore the principal development is accepted. The dwelling will be constructed to high environmental standards, exceeding building regulations, including a highly insulated timber frame, an air source heat pump and photovoltaic panels, aiming to achieve an EPC rating of A. The design sits comfortably within the existing ribbon of development, with eaves and ridge heights lower than the host dwelling, ensure it integrates well into the street scene. The applicants have worked with the case officer and landscape officer to address concerns regarding the size of the dwelling. The width has been reduced and the footprint amended, increasing separation to boundaries and ensuring the design aligns with surrounding plots. The scheme makes a modest but meaningful contribution to housing supply and supports the council's duties on self-build and custom building. This is an opportunity for Mr. and Mrs. Shanks to build their own home, which will serve their family, allow them to invest in the area and demonstrate their long-term commitment to the community. These small-scale, modest developments should be supported. For these reasons, and consistent with the recommendation before you, we respectfully ask members to grant planning permission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions from members, please? No? No questions? Thank you. Thank you very much. If you'd like to return to your seats. To questions to officers. Any questions? No? Thank you very much. We will move to debate. Councillor McCormick.
Thank you, Chair. So I understand this was called for committee and viewing because there was a possibility that it might be recommended for refusal. It is recommended for approval. We visited the site and straight away, I think, in my view, a view which may be shared, it looked a very straightforward site. So I have absolutely no hesitation in moving this recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Hussey. Seconded. Does anyone else wish to speak? Sorry, does anyone else wish to speak? No? Okay, we will move to vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Somebody go and get Councillor Grassi. Do you mind? Yeah.
Thank you. Just to confirm the decision, that application has been approved subject to the conditions listed in the main agenda. Thank you.
We move to agenda item 6 for the officer to introduce.
Thank you, Chair. So this application or report relates to an application previously considered by committee at the Viewpoint site in Basing View. The committee previously resolved to grant planning permission for the development of 326 units subject to a Section 106 agreement. The majority of the clauses that are contained within that resolution are being agreed through the Section 106 agreement process. The one exception relates to the build-to-rent restriction. This report therefore seeks a minor amendment to the resolution to grant planning permission specifically related to the build-to-rent restriction so that it is both time-limited and subject to a clawback mechanism whereby if that was that covenant was breached at all and units were sold to the market, there would be an additional burden, if you like, on a developer to provide viability assessment and potential additional affordable housing contributions. The reason for the proposed amendment is set out in the report. In particular, I draw members' attention to Appendix C, which is the letter from the applicant, which explains that whilst their intention is still maintains to deliver this as a build-to-rent mechanism, this really relates to the financial viability of the site. That becomes a material planning consideration because it impacts on the deliverability of the housing within the scheme. So that is why it's come back before you. In terms of planning policy related to build-to-rent, Basingstoke does not have a planning policy related to how build-to-rent should be operated. Other authorities do, and the report sets out a couple of examples in Reading and Milton Keynes, but more specifically, they both follow the principles set out in the Planning Policy Practice Guide, which is a highly significant material consideration. That advocates both that build-to-rent should be time-limited and that there should be clawback mechanisms in the event that the covenant is breached and there are effectively disposals to our open market. So the proposal is for the recommendation to be, or the resolution to be amended as per paragraph 1.1 on page 137, so it does include that the time-limited element and the clawback mechanism within the build-to-rent restriction.
Thank you. There's nobody else speaking, so question officers. Councillor McCormick.
So just to be completely clear, the only thing that we're amending is the time limit on the build to rent.
Correct. So I think the way that it was captured, if you like, in terms of the original report was that it said that there'd be it is recommended by officers that there'd be a build to rent restriction, and it was left effectively open-ended, that be in perpetuity. The reason for that was that you may recall there was a viability position put forward on the original application, which is why affordable housing wasn't being delivered on site. What this effectively does is time limit that restriction, but it also means that there is effectively a clawback mechanism, which in lots of ways is more useful to the council, in that if there is then a disposal to open market within that period, there would be an ability to secure potentially, obviously if there's an uplift in value, additional affordable housing contributions, subject to a viability assessment being reassessed at that point.
Thank you. Anyone else with questions? Councillor.
Sorry, you mentioned it was a recommendation. Is it still a recommendation?
Yes, still recommendation. So it was recommended in the original report. This is just an amendment to it, but it was felt that it was enough of an amendment to bring it back to committee.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. We will move to debate. Councillor McCormick.
So I'm reasonably happy to move this on the understanding that previously we'd agreed something that was potentially built to rent in perpetuity. This gives a bit more flexibility. I'm not altogether sure how far and how affordable housing contribution of £250,000 will go. In my mind, that might build us one affordable home. But, you know, it appears better than what we previously agreed. So on that basis, I'm quite happy to move it.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Court. Okay. All those in favour? Unanimous.
Thank you, Chair. So just to confirm, the committee approved the amended resolution as set out in paragraph 1.1 of the report.
Right, there are no reasons to exclude the press or public, and there are no confidential items, so I close this meeting at 7:50.